So in this experience, I was in a train. I've never been in a train before, so that was really weird, but I've seen pictures of them before. Anyways, I was sitting in the seat in the train, and I had a train ticket in my hand. I got up to look around and see what the deal was with this train. When I got into like this other part of the train, I saw Rebisar sitting there in one of the seats. And you're not going to believe this, Steve Harvey was next to him. The Steve that was in the call with us. I was like, hey dudes, what's up with this train? Rebisar told me that he bought Steve and I tickets to this train. I think he called it the Train of Awareness. So I was like, cool. Rebisar said the seat on the other side of him was for me, and they're first class seats. No one else was on the train though, so it was kind of a bit weird. I mean, we could just take whatever seat we wanted, but sure. He paid for first class, I guess. As I went to sit down though, Steve asked me about all the targets painted on me. I guess I didn't notice until that point, so I transformed into that fluffy dragon again. Steve seemed pretty surprised about that. And Rebisar noticed that I kept the hat and bag that he bought me. So I was like, yeah man, they look cool. And then he patted me on the head and he called me a good dragon, which was pretty nice. I tried to get as comfortable in the seat next to Rebisar as I could, which was kind of hard as a dragon, but I found a position that worked eventually. I asked Rebisar where we were going, and he said that we were taking a ride of awareness, and that it would be fun. So I was like, cool. I think I sat there for a while with him and Steve. I bet we talked about stuff that I don't really remember now. We're having a pretty good time. At one point, Rebisar said that we were close to our destination. I was really excited to see what it was, so I leaned my head over Rebisar and Steve with my long neck to the window to see where we were going. But I didn't really see anything ahead of us. I asked Rebisar again where we were going, and he said that we'll see. So I waited. But all of a sudden, it felt like we were in free fall. I looked out the window to see that we were falling. The train tracks led us to this dark abyss that was getting darker the further we fell. And I didn't even have time to react before we smashed into the floor of the abyss. I felt the whole train get crushed, and that's the last thing I remember from it.
All right. That's a simple, fun one. And yes, a train is a good example. Many times you will be taking, a car, a bus, a train. I've been on many trains when I was young. Trains are cool. Yeah, you should take a train ride sometime, just for the fun of it, back and forth somewhere. I'm sure there's some around yours. Oh yeah, San Diego has trains up and down the coastline there. Take a train to San Clemente and back or whatever. But anyhow, and sometimes airplanes and different types of planes or jets or what have you. And so again, see, you're on a journey. You're taking a trip away from where you are. In other words, what's taking place, Rebisar has set this up for you because you're singing the new you and you're paying a little bit of attention. You set this up for you to get outside of your place. Okay, get outside of your consciousness. All right. And so Steve Harvey, you're talking about the black guy that does that, the Family Feud or whatever it is on TV?
Yeah, he was in our call a week ago or two.
Oh, okay, all right. So there's a reference there to something for yourself to recognize, okay? So anyhow, and that's what it's cool. What Rebisar said, it's the train of awareness. In other words, because that's what life is. It's awareness. And as you're looking out the window, you don't see anything. That's because you are going into the unknown. And the reason that there's no one else on the train is because most people aren't aware enough to take this trip, because most people aren't agreeing to do it. They're sitting home in their own consciousness, doing whatever. But see, as you do the new you and you want to learn more, well, you're going more so into the unknown. And this is where it takes you quite a while to whatever. Okay, so all of a sudden, the train is free falling. Okay, so again, this is something to break up your old ideas of things. That's the crash. all right? So it's like, you know, everybody hits something in their lifetime. They have it's called like and that isn't what this situation is, but it's called like a midlife crisis, if you don't know what that is or whatever. In other words, people build things up in their life. They'll build up their career as an example, and they think, oh, I'm really going places, I'm getting promoted, I'm making a lot of money, I can do whatever I want. But then all of a sudden, at some point, they realize, they look at the whole thing, because all of a sudden it's just flowing and it's like almost too easy. It's like it's all fake. It's like, what am I doing? You know, it's like, what does my life come to? And they call it like a midlife crisis. It's kind of a little bit of a wake up, but that's what the train wreck is. Okay, it's part of your wake up. And so again, look at how you reacted. Look at the experience and the feeling, etc. And again, here's Rebisar guiding you, but all of a sudden, you know, he says, you know, this is the train of awareness, but all of a sudden the train goes into an abyss, a dark abyss, and it crashes. Now, to your literal mind, that doesn't make sense, does it? It's like, why would Rebisar do that? Why would he do that? Now, this may take you a few minutes, few days, or even years to recognize what this experience means. But this experience has been set up for you, and now it's a big part of your adventure to wake up, to recognize why he did that. So, as I went through this, I had experiences even before I got in with the Real Guides this lifetime, and I look back at those experiences and I recognize them, how they led up to where I'm at today. When I was a young kid, I'll tell you one of the experiences that really stood out. I was about 7 or 8 years old, and one night I had this real sight experience. And because when I was young, I liked Superman, George Reeves' Superman. Superman came out in the 50s, 1950, 51, George Reeves. Look it up on YouTube, Superman with George Reeves. Well, see, I was born in 48, so I was the young kid and I liked Superman, and I used to play Superman, okay? And he's the original here when it comes to the TV shows and that, George Reeves, look it up. And so one night I had this dream where I was Superman. And as I started to, I had the uniform and everything, and as I started to run and leap off the ground, all of a sudden, there was all these faceless people, like faceless creatures that looked human, a whole mob of them all around me. And as I was trying to fly up, they grabbed my feet, they grabbed my body, my arms and everything, and pulled me back down to the ground. And I tried and I struggled to fly, but I couldn't, because all these faceless people, they were just like shadows, just grabbed me, kept me down, and the experience ended. Well, it took me quite a few years to recognize what that was. And that is that the Superman idea was the real awareness wanting to fly above, you know, the consciousness. But I was embedded in the consciousness, so the consciousness that I was embedded in wouldn't let me fly, and that's what the faceless people represented. They represented the mass consciousness, you see? But it took me quite a few years to recognize that experience. I didn't do it overnight because I didn't know. I had no reference. I had nothing to reference to as to what this experience was. I didn't even tell my mom or anything. I just didn't think anything about it. I just let it go. But it's one of the many real sight experiences that really stood out when I was a youngster. And so you're having this experience now, and you're wondering, what the heck does this mean? You know, but you will recognize it as you go through your process, little by little, as you become more aware. One day, all of a sudden, you'll go, oh, you know, I remember that experience on the train with Rebisar. Now I kind of see what it means. And so as you go through your life and your real side experiences, at some point, you're going to recognize what he has provided for you to help you wake up from this passing dream, Eric. So it's very good, Eric. Very, very good. Very profound. Yeah.
So you're saying that the awareness wants to smash into the floor of an abyss?
All that's an illusion, but it's set up in a particular way to make the personal self react in a particular way, and you have to learn to recognize that. So first of all, your challenge is to get through yourself and to face yourself. Every idea, every notion, every resistance, you have a lot of resistance in you. A lot of people do. We all do. We have to get through our own resistance. And so you have to face yourself first. See, this is where the spiritual paths and religions and all these things, self-therapy, self-help and all that, you know, they're little band-aids, but this is where they really fail. Because again, they're looking at ideas to look to. In other words, people have like the God idea as an example. Oh, I believe in God or whatever. But they don't realize that the God idea is just that. It's an idea. It's not a reality. It's an idea that you've been told, like the word belief. There's no such thing. Belief means maybe, okay? Or hope means maybe. Faith means maybe. Truth is a maybe. It's all relative to nothing. But you've been taught to accept it and to constantly repeat it and think it so that you stay in the maybe realm of nothing. You see, these are just ideas. What I'm presenting is real references to a true reality. First of all, your real awareness to wake up and recognize your five bodies, and then to recognize the real universes of endless freeness beyond all of creation itself. And that's a huge journey. So the experiences that Rebisar has set up for you, because you're of a particular, are for you to recognize and wake up eventually, you see? Because it's kind of like, in a way also, there's many views on that. There will be 1,000 views on that. And it's kind of like this. You're on the train to nowhere, but you don't realize that yet. See, look at your personal life. Just look at it. Look at your gaming world. We'll take that as an example. You think you're going somewhere. Wow, I'm really going somewhere. I'm really good. I'm really a good gamer. I'm in competition. I'm all this stuff. See how? See that thinking, that setup thinking that you created? You think you're going somewhere. And yeah, you're on the train to nowhere, but you don't see it. And it's going to crash. At some point, it's going to crash. And you will be the experiencer of that. But you think you're going somewhere. Everything here is going nowhere. The only thing that gives anything that you're doing life, or which you seem to think is a life, you see, is your agreement with it. Once you take your attention off of it and forget it, it's like it doesn't exist anymore. See, only as you put your attention on it does it so-called become alive. It's like when you're playing the game, it's like, wow, this is great. It seems so real, and it seems like it's alive. Is it? No. It's a mechanism. It's like the plug in your wall for your lamp or your TV. It's a mechanism. But you want it to be alive. You want it to be something, so you're on it. You're on board. You're on the train. And see, there's your train. The train to nowhere. You see? But you don't see it yet. Now, it's not about you not playing the games. It's not about that. It's not about good and bad. It's all about experience and awareness and waking up and seeing what you're actually doing instead of you thinking you know what you're doing. There is a difference between awareness and thinking. So it's going to take you a while to recognize the difference, and it's all in the recognition.